Do you trust the history you were taught? The books, the lessons, the versions that were presented as truth? Because if you look closely, something doesn't add up. There are gaps, silences, changes far too convenient to be coincidence. The history we know isn't the full story. It's what's left after wars, empires, fires, and rewrites. Every century the same pattern repeats. They burn what threatens, erase what disturbs, and rewrite what remains. And the most terrifying part? It still happens. But traces remain. Fragments that escaped the flames, hidden in ruins, manuscripts, secret projects. And they tell a different version. One that was never meant to reach us. Today, we'll follow those fragments. From forgotten civilizations to secrets orbiting the moon. These are the 7 greatest lies of humanity, and perhaps the only clues to the truth they tried to erase. They say it was the greatest collection of knowledge ever assembled, the Library of Alexandria. Scrolls from Egypt, Greece, India, and Persia. Ideas about mathematics, astronomy, and medicine that could have changed the course of human civilization forever. And then, it was gone. For centuries, we were told it was destroyed in a single fire, an accident of war. But what if it wasn't an accident at all? Some historians believe the library didn't vanish in one day. It was erased gradually, targeted by rulers, religions, and empires that feared what was written on those fragile scrolls. Knowledge that didn't serve the powerful was systematically removed, until silence replaced understanding. Imagine how different our world might be if those texts had survived, if we had never been forced to start over, rewriting discoveries already made thousands of years before. Maybe the greatest tragedy of the library wasn't its destruction, but the fact that someone, somewhere, chose what should and shouldn't be remembered. We call it the Dark Ages, a time of ignorance, superstition, and stagnation, as if the light of knowledge had been extinguished for nearly 1,000 years. But what if that darkness never really existed? The idea of a dark era was created centuries later by those who wanted to rewrite the past. Renaissance and Enlightenment thinkers portrayed the Middle Ages as a time of chaos and decay, only to present themselves as the saviors of reason. The truth is that while Europe was fighting in its own shadows, the Arab world was preserving and expanding ancient knowledge. Mathematics, medicine, astronomy, sciences that only returned to the West because someone, elsewhere, refused to let them die. Maybe the Dark Ages were never truly without light, but rather a time when that light was deliberately hidden. Because power doesn't fear ignorance, it depends on it. And the less people understand the past, the easier it is to shape the future. They say Christopher Columbus discovered America. But how can you discover a place where millions of people already lived? What we call a discovery was, in truth, the beginning of an erasure. A continent filled with advanced civilizations, with astronomy, architecture, and agriculture, was rewritten as a savage land, simply to justify conquest. The books turned explorers into heroes and invasions into progress. But behind the flags and the crosses was something rarely told: destroyed cities, erased cultures, and a history still told today from the perspective of those who arrived last. Columbus didn't discover a new world, he reset the narrative of one that already existed. And perhaps that's one of the greatest lies in history. The idea that knowledge only begins when someone decides to write it down. In 1943, at the height of World War II, a rumor began spreading among American sailors. They said the Navy had conducted an experiment so extreme, it defied the laws of physics. A ship called the USS Eldridge was allegedly fitted with powerful electromagnetic fields in an attempt to achieve the impossible: total invisibility. The goal was to create a defense against enemy radar. But what supposedly happened that day went far beyond any rational explanation. Witnesses claimed the ship vanished before their eyes, and when it reappeared, part of the crew was said to be fused into the steel hull, as if matter itself had been torn apart and put back together the wrong way. The government denied everything, calling the story a fantasy. But later documents revealed secret experiments involving magnetic fields and electromagnetic wave manipulation, exactly the kind of research needed for something like the Philadelphia experiment. Coincidence? Or just one of many moments in history where science went beyond ethics, and the world was never told what truly happened? For years, stories about mind control sounded like pure science fiction. But in 1975, secret CIA documents were declassified, and the truth was worse than any theory. Between the 1950s and 1970s, the US government conducted a series of experiments on human beings, without their consent. The project had a name, MK-Ultra. Its goal? To discover whether the human mind could be controlled, to erase memories, implant new ones, and manipulate behavior through drugs, hypnosis, and electrical stimulation. Patients in psychiatric hospitals, prisoners, and even ordinary citizens were used as test subjects. Some experiments involved massive doses of LSD, sensory deprivation, and methods of brainwashing. Many never recovered. When the documents were finally made public, the CIA claimed the project had been shut down. But dozens of original files had been destroyed before the investigation even began. Maybe the real question isn't whether MK-Ultra ended, but whether it simply changed its name. For centuries, we've believed we know every corner of our planet. But what if part of the Earth remains hidden, not on maps, but within it? The so-called Hollow Earth theory emerged in the 17th century, when scientists proposed that our planet was made of concentric layers, with vast, habitable spaces inside. Over time, the idea evolved into something bolder: stories of openings at the poles, tunnels linking continents, and ancient civilizations living beneath the ice of Antarctica. Mysterious expeditions, some real, others buried in military secrecy, only fueled the myth. One of the most famous came from Admiral Richard Byrd, who, in 1947, claimed to have flown beyond the South Pole and seen a lush land with lakes, vegetation, and signs of life. Official records dismissed it as delusion or navigational error. But Byrd's diary vanished for decades and only resurfaced years later, mentioned by independent researchers. Perhaps the Hollow Earth theory was never really about geology. Perhaps it was about something else, the parts of truth we choose not to explore. Since the first time we looked up at the sky, we've believed the moon to be a dead desert. No air, no life, only rock and silence. But over the decades, reports have surfaced that challenge that idea. Apollo astronauts described moving lights, strange radio echoes, and unexplained noises coming from the surface. Amateur astronomers also claim to have seen anomalous structures, rectangular shadows, formations resembling towers, and reflections that appear and vanish as if something were watching. NASA has never officially confirmed any of it, but cut transmissions, missing audio fragments, and sudden frequency changes during live broadcasts kept the mystery alive. And the question remains, if there is something there, why hide it? Maybe the moon was never just a satellite. Maybe it's a mirror, reflecting not space itself, but how little we still understand about the universe. From the Library of Alexandria to the moon, an invisible line runs through all of human history. Books burned, facts rewritten, voices silenced. And when you look closely, a pattern begins to emerge. Truth, throughout the centuries, never disappears by accident. It is erased, reshaped, replaced by more convenient versions, until what remains is only a comfortable story, one that keeps the world in order. Maybe humanity's greatest mystery isn't what we haven't discovered yet, but what was already discovered and then hidden? What if the lies we tell about the past aren't mistakes at all, but part of something bigger, a system of forgetting, a cycle of erasure and reconstruction? The history we know is just one version. The real one may lie in fragments, in ruins, burned scrolls, censored documents, and perhaps in places we still haven't dared to look. After all, which is more terrifying, to imagine that we're alone in the universe, or to realize we never were, and someone has always decided what we're allowed to know? Subscribe.